on the cake.
Parole TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Parrot TV, the voice for humanity, talking politics. The first thing we have to do, you see this bottle of beer over here.
Oh my God.
Now, I am Robert Press, the host of this show, and Mayor de Blasio now had 100 days in office as of yesterday. When you said there's a song, 100 bottles of beer on the wall, and if one bottle should fall, he now has 99 days left in office. Let me introduce my guest, and Professor Anthony Rivecchio. Would you like to say something about yourself?
No,
And Mr.
I
Dion
love a bottle
Powell.
of beer.
Hello.
Okay, the three of us are. Let's see, what can I say? The three of us handle this show. You're shaking your head, Dion. What's the problem, Dion?
Yeah, I see my man, Mean Mark, is here, and he's got you lost for words. Let's introduce our guest first.
Well, no, Dion. Let's introduce Mark. Okay, Mark Garrett is Dion Powell's mentor. Dion looks up to Mark for everything, political advice. Anthony, don't fall off your chair.
I am.
Political advice as well as probably advice with the women. Okay, so Mark, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Mark Garrett. I'm from Riverdale, where you're from, and I'm very much involved in politics in the Bronx. I've been involved in politics in the Bronx.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Dion, hanging out with someone from Riverdale. I wonder
You used to
why.
be from
Well,
Riverdale.
tonight's
You
show
used to live in
is
Riverdale.
going to be about the pandemic. It says Joe Biden on the title, so let's start off with Joe Biden. Anybody have any comments on how Joe Biden's doing about this pandemic? Nope. Well, some of you may not know that I'm the only one of the three of us, meaning Anthony, Dion, and myself, who got vaccinated. I got vaccinated because I'm a reporter. And if I want to go into places where I have to do stories, I have to be vaccinated. I went to Jacobi Hospital on August 31st. I did a story and spoke to the head of Jacobi, who said, "Yeah, we're still doing we're still doing the. Yeah, I'm a little slow from the vaccination. All right, we're still doing vaccinations. Okay, and I went and got my vaccination on August 31st. Everything was fine. On on September 21st, I was set to go for my second vaccination. I got my appointment, went. Okay, but you see, the second vaccination was a little different from the first one. The first one, they had something like this, or I should say this, where, and I know that the police are going to come after me because I'm not supposed to have this. Okay, this is the top of the first vaccination. It came off, and there was a little needle sticking out where the nurse just stuck it in my arm, and that was the vaccination. The second one on September 21st was where I see a person come out, go over to a table, fill up a syringe with something, go into a little cubicle, and then call me in. And it's a totally different vaccination. Okay, everything was okay, a little pain in the arm. I get home at night, I thought I was dying. I had such a reaction to it. I was out all day Wednesday, and Thursday I went back to the hospital. I found out, and I went to Jacobi because I thought nurses were giving it at Jacobi. But it's not. It's an outside contractor giving the vaccination at Jacobi. And when I went there, the table was missing. And what I found out about these vaccinations is going to rock the story. They don't use the same vaccination every day. It's whatever the state gives them, I was told. All right. So it could be one day, the next day something. It's all supposedly Pfizer, but it's not the same Pfizer, because how did I get such a reaction on the second vaccination? Well, I wanted to know what I got. And being a reporter, I started taking pictures, which I'll show you some. And
I think you should share the screen with those pictures. Do you have the tech savvy to share the pictures on the
no,
screen?
it doesn't. It's not. You're going to have to look at it this way. Okay. This is, where is it?
Jesus.
We'll get to it later, Dion. Once you're talking, I'll find them.
Text it to me. I'll share the screen, okay?
No, Dion, I could share the screen, but I didn't send it over to the computer. But, okay, they're working in little cubicles that are set up in a room. How can I say this? That they're pushing out people. So I wanted to know what I was injected with. It was a secret. I got a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's how I'm telling you on what I got.
Can you see yourself?
I can see it, so yeah.
Just make sure your camera's like this, and you can see your whole face.
Okay.
And that way we can see it. It's okay.
Okay.
Did you change his diaper, Dion? All right, let's continue with the story about Jacoby. All right,
Hey,
so
Bob,
while I'm doing this, I'm taking pictures because I'm a reporter. Oh, no, you can't take pictures, Mr. Press. I said, why not? And I wanted to take a picture of this person who gave me the injection, who started to run behind one of the cubicles. All of a sudden, staff came down. There was one person, two people, up to 10. When I asked one guy, he said, well, there are 10 of us here. And, well, it wound up that there were 11 staff members, security, and police that came down because I was doing this. I was amazed at this. Okay, I finally got what I wanted, and it was the same as the first, supposedly. What it is you get 0.3 milligrams of the virus, of the vaccine. You get 0.09 milligrams of sodium chloride. What is sodium chloride used for?
True serum?
You put it on your food, but you're told to put a little bit on. Now, I have to guess that this woman, and I don't call her a nurse, had to mix the vaccine with the sodium chloride and put too much of it in, or whatever. But the total amount of these two ingredients is less than 98%. So I have to wonder what was in the rest of the vaccine that I received. Okay, so as I said, I got a paper supposedly with these same figures on it. And one of the police officers, when I told him, are you going to call the 49th precinct and have me arrested, looked at me and I said, go ahead. I know the Commissioner Shea. So he takes me over to the side, trying to pull the old gag. Well, what's the commissioner's first name? I really should have said Clarence, but I told him the real name. And once I said the real name, he just walked away, knowing I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't know who Marcos is, Mr. Director, but there's a Marcos in the waiting room, so why don't you bring him in?
Alpheus Marcus. All right. Now,
Oh, that's what he said,
can
Marcos.
we please let Mark introduce himself?
Oh, so this is two guests, Dion.
That's right, because we need more guests. So let Mark introduce himself.
Did he get vaccinated?
Me?
Yeah, did you, Mark?
Yes, I have not one, not two, but 3 shots. I have.
You got 3 shots already?
Yes.
Why did you get 3 shots?
Well,
Let the
two
man
shots-
introduce himself.
Dion, let me talk to you. Well, your
Mark,
guest.
introduce yourself.
Let me talk to your guest.
I have 3 shots. I take 2 Pixie because it's immune suppression, so I have to have 3 shots. I have all of them. I had my 2 shots in January and February for the first 2, and 1 a few weeks ago for the 3rd shot. So I am well vaccinated. Don't worry about me. I'm in good shape.
Oh, and did you have any reactions when you got vaccinated?
Well, the first day it was I felt a little soreness on my left arm, but other than that, not really.
Nothing after the second vaccination or the third?
Nothing really.
So by getting your 3rd one, you must be immune deficient then.
I'm immune to anything. I'm immune to COVID. I'm immune to the stuff. I got all my shots. And
Okay, now, Dion, where'd Dion go? Oh,
He's
Dion
right
went to the buffet to get something else to eat. Dion, have you been vaccinated?
No, sir. No, sir.
And tell us why you haven't been vaccinated. Who are you sitting in front of? You're moving back and forth in front of a photo.
What did you do with Anthony Revicchio? What's Anthony Revicchio? What did you do with that guy?
I think he fell off his chair laughing.
Well, I did not get vaccinated, and I will also be hosting an event with Blexit on Sunday for workers' rights. So.
But Dion, don't you know that you can't go into a restaurant and get food? You can't go into a Yankee game unless you're vaccinated. You can't go to a Met game.
Yeah. You can't.
As you see my Dodger shirt.
Boo.
There are 9 games left in the Major League Baseball season, and these last games are the most important. They determine who is going to win the division or not. And Dodgers and Giants are really in a tight race. And they're right now the Dodgers are 1 game behind. What's the matter, Dion? You're going to fall off your chair too?
That's right, because we're not here to talk about sports entertainment, okay?
Okay. Anthony, are you still with us?
No, Anthony, he fell out his chair. I guess the whole contraption must have broke.
No, I don't know. Maybe we can only have 3 people on the screen. So, you know.
There's more of people to that. This is the StreamYard. But let Mark introduce himself. Go
ahead.
Mark Garrett from Riverdale.
No. We know about you, Mark.
Yeah.
He's got another.
And like I said, acting in politics, but I think we're going too far when it comes to masking, in my opinion.
Mark, what is your background? Historically, what is your background? What is
you work for the city controller?
I work for that's correct. I work for the city controller's office for over 34 years, and the city of New York for 40 years. And I'm retired now. I'm active in politics. I take a very strong interest in it. And but if you haven't noticed, if I haven't hit you guys with a 2x4, I'm a history buff. If you haven't noticed that. So I like to answer these things that we got.
Bob Press is trying to share his screen old-fashioned way. Anthony Revicchio is lost in our private track here on the side. So I guess
your friend Marcos is lost. Your friend Alpheus is lost in space.
Well, he said he was in the waiting room. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it looks like we can't have more than 3 people on here. That's what it looks like. So, I mean, we can have the 3 of us, or we can bring in Anthony or Alpheus. What would you like to do, Dion? Oh, Anthony came back.
And take measurements.
I would like to finish my Puerto Rican Coco Delicioso iced tea. That's what I would like to do.
You know, if I might, this show has been on for 14 minutes. For 14 minutes, I thought we would talk about one national issue. We started, and I see we're continuing to talk about a Bob Press incident, which of course has national implications. So let's talk about that for a moment, right? Let's talk about how Mr. Press came on this show 3 weeks ago and basically told everybody to go to Jacoby because they provide such wonderful service.
Today for a safe appointment, 1-800-334.
3 weeks prior to him taking the shot, he was immune, so he didn't have to take the shot. So now, of course, we find out he became deathly temporarily ill.
In Tennessee that left 1 person dead and at least 14 others injured.
Who's got a radio on behind you?
Maybe not 100.
Fire.
Maybe 85% good as opposed to 90. But that's probably why Dion and I are in total agreement, where we don't believe in taking dishwater as a vaccination. To pretend it's a magic wand and everything is going to be okay, when we're finding out from our host that everything is not okay. So I think just the way you glorified them a couple of weeks ago, now you should expose them. So why don't you tell us who this contracting company was?
I don't know. They never told me.
So
It's an
you mean
outside
you were there
contract.
investigating? So basically you were there investigating. You brought information that you just said you're not supposed to have, but you don't know the contracting company?
It could be found out. And Anthony, don't forget, I was only at about
you see
60%
right now?
over there. Okay, I was
You wanna
still
be on
under the
show?
influence.
Want to be on the show right now? You're
Okay,
Barrett.
I see Alpheus has joined us. Alpheus, have you been vaccinated?
Not at all.
Why?
Why? Because one, I don't exhibit any symptoms. Two, I really don't trust the vaccination due to the fact that the clinical trials, the first stage you only had 140, the second stage you only had 300 before it was released for emergency use. So be it there's no strong data to show the side effects, I don't trust it. That's just my personal experience, personal feeling.
Well, again, you, Dion, and Anthony won't be able to go to certain events, certain restaurants.
We
You'll
can't
be-
buy or sell.
I don't mind.
Blah blah.
Well, Dion, you can't go into a school. You can't go basically to half the places you want to go.
Let's go back to Anthony Ravicchio's point before. You were so happy to get poked, pricked, and prodded by this nurse and her needle that you was like the greatest experience promo in the world for this vaccine. And look at you now. You're on the deathbed of Jacoby. Help me, find my bedpan. But now you regret it, don't you? But I'm going to add the zombie list with everybody else.
Tony, pardon. Dion.
I think Mr. Marcos hit it right on the head. That everybody's taking vaccine A, where now we have COVID C. And by the time we have vaccine C, it will be so on down the line. Remember the most important thing he just said. He said it was approved for emergency use. As of today, it has not been approved for regular uses.
No, it's been approved for regular uses, but what happened is this here, they questioned the data. A lot of people was questioning the data. It was approved early this month. Certain I believe Pfizer got approved, but the problem is, even though it was approved, people are hesitant due to the fact that they never gave the strong data, the adverse effects. So, the FDA has a habit of literally approving anything that's going to lead to more medications being taken.
Can I sorry to cut you off. I want to share the screen of something that we talked about when I said that women were having irregular menstrual cycles, right? And Nicki Minaj came out with her post. We'll talk to Nicki Minaj in a second. But I'm going to share my screen with you guys to let you know what's really going on here, okay? I'm going to show you something that's of interest. Now, I'm going to share my screen. Now, if you can see my screen now, what does it say here? The National Institute of Health is actually sending out a study. This came out on August 30th to test potential effects of COVID vaccination on menstruation. So you see, they're at it right now, and they're more reactionary now to this virus than proactive. And now it looks like all the women's complaints has reached upstairs. So what's going on here, folks? Back to you.
Well, Dion, that's probably why they waited on younger children, teens, and then now the younger children, because they don't know what it's going to do to them in the long run. This is much like when the atom bomb was dropped on Japan. What did that do to women who had babies? This earth, is really messed up. And can we save it? Can Joe Biden save the earth? That's the question.
Well, all right, guys, let me switch gears again and share my screen again for something that is of interest, okay? This time, we're going to switch gears to the border. If I may show you a clip of the border situation, hopefully everybody.
What, with the horses, Dion?
Humanitarian crisis at America's border with Mexico has become a full crisis of conscience for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security.
It is tragic and it is heartbreaking.
For more than 3 weeks, the border bridge connecting Del Rio, Texas with Mexico has served as the only shelter for thousands of Haitian migrants.
Wait. How do you go from COVID
devastated by natural
and
disasters
vaccination to this?
Exactly. No structure at all. I've been saying this from day one, and now I got to call everybody out on it. You know, this is almost publicly embarrassing.
Pandemic as a reason to deny them from crossing the border.
We have reiterated that our borders are not open and people should not make the dangerous journey.
Families and asylum seekers are all that's taken for processing, but it isn't deterring the flood of migrants.
We have 40 seconds. We have 40 more seconds.
Border agents, some on horseback.
This is totally embarrassing. Mr. Host, that says he's in charge. This is embarrassing.
DHS has referred the matter for internal investigation, and the vice president, who is tasked with handling the immigration crisis, is pushing back on critics who argue the White House is either doing too much or too little to help migrants.
Talk about a country that has just experienced so much.
Embarrassing, Mr. Host. Embarrassing.
Many of these
we had a local congressman, Jamal Bowman, go down there. And I've asked for an interview with him, and he won't, because this seems to be the problem.
Already in the U.S. were granted protected
this is
status,
what I would like to know.
not those trying to cross now. This pandemic taking a new life,
COVID vaccination
as a public health threat.
This here, where is all the outrage that was taking place when you had, Hispanics that was dealing with all this shit?
Well, let me ask you, Marcos, Alpheus.
Running a viral social media.
Alpheus, if this happened last year under the previous president, what would America be saying?
Oh, it would be hell.
Okay.
It's a double standards.
They were talking about him having children in cages, correct?
Yeah, but you got to remember something. Obama administration was the first ones to have them in cages. If that's the case.
Well, I want to hear from Mark. Mark, what is
Yes, I'd like to point out that show, you saw the guy on horseback, he was using his reins. He wasn't using a whip. That's important. I want to get that in first. That he was using his rein. Besides, what is the first responsibility of government?
Hold on for a second. Hold on a second. What do you use the reins for when you ride a horse?
He was trying to control his horse. Not to go against his horse.
But you use the reins to beat a horse.
Well, he's not trying to do the other people, trying to prevent him from coming into this country. But he wasn't using a whip on the people. That's the story right there. Now,
wait a minute, hold on. The reins that you say, right? The long reins, they use when they whip the horse.
So the horse, not the human being.
Alpheus, you're absolutely right.
Use the horse.
Alpheus is absolutely right. We've now turned this show into beating up horses.
Nobody wants to beat up horses.
No. They were whipping the people, Tony.
No, what I'm saying is this.
No, sir.
They use the reins to beat the horse.
Mark is right. Mark is right. CNN has already done.
Launching a $250 million campaign to educate people. Now they're looking for help getting the messaging out, including you-know-who, since nearly half his supporters say they're not going to do it. Take a look.
Every other living former president, or most of them, if not all of them, has participated in public campaigns. They did not need an engraved invitation to do so. So he may decide he should do that. If so, great.
I discussed it with my team, and they say the thing that has more impact than anything Trump would say to the MAGA folks is what the local doctor, what the local preachers, what the local people in the community say. So I urge all local docs and
4% of the total population has been vaccinated, right? So 71.1 million Americans have been vaccinated, and that's a big number, and that's wonderful. But we have been taught that in order to keep the virus from spreading, 80% of Americans need to be vaccinated. 80%. And with only 21% being vaccinated, we're not there yet. The hope is that we can get there and that by the end of May, every eligible adult can get the vaccine because the vaccine is going to be available. This administration, the Biden administration, has done an incredible job of making sure that we can get there. But if people are reluctant to get the vaccine, what are we going to do?
This is a break.
And it's
We're
just
taking a break.
that there are, according to the stats, my understanding is that
this is embarrassing, man.
Stop using that word.
They're saying that
this is
the
embarrassing.
vaccine hesitancy
Mr.
is higher
Host
among
has
white Republicans
no.
than any other demographic.
Don't mute me. Mute yourself.
You have to lead by example. Why is it that more than 100 House
Embarrassing.
members have not yet taken the COVID vaccine?
Embarrassing.
No, Anthony. What it is the
What
host.
it is you got no structure. That's what it is.
No.
Alpheus, your guest, has just told you that. You have no structure of this show, Mr. Host.
No, I don't have control of the show. The executive director does.
So then fine. Then we'll have Aunt Gabby as the host next week.
What that was, Anthony, was a commercial space because
who's the executive director?
Who?
Yeah.
You know who it is.
New York Parrot. No.
Who?
Tell him, Dion.
We're doing Pictionary right now. What's that show called with the boxes? Match play? I don't know.
All right.
I'm going to call Dion Mr. Screener. So, Dion, can I ask you a favor? Did you find the update on the tummy that did it? Can you share that screen with us?
Oh, well. I don't know. Mark, were you there
when... Hi.
Look, I just want to know one thing.
No, you don't.
The information y'all got on the vaccine.
That's true.
Right? Did y'all look at the FDA conference last week, Friday?
Instagram? Yes, we saw that.
Not on Instagram. I'm talking about the actual forum.
Oh, you want me to share that clip too? I can share that clip too.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I don't need you to share the clip. I'm asking did you get the information from it?
Yes, I did.
So
well, wait a minute, Dion. Why don't you tell us, Dion, where you're coming from?
How come you're not speaking about the information that came out of that to support what it is that you're trying to say when it comes down to the vaccine? Because there was a lot of information given, especially out of one of the doctors from Louisiana when he spoke about the strong studies not being enough for medical professions to actually have any confidence in it, to combat what the anti-vax was saying about the vaccine.
Dion, what happened?
I don't know. Marcus is looking kind of blue. What kind of lighting's over there? You look kind of blue, brother. You got that stuff?
It's disco lighting. That's all it is. So, Dion, why don't you tell us where you're coming from?
I'm coming from the Bronx. That's where I'm coming from.
Where in the Bronx? Sammy Ravello's headquarters?
No. What makes you say that?
Or the Bronx Conservative Party?
What makes you say that? What makes you say that?
Because that's where you've come from before.
I
remember that picture is from the Bronx Conservative Party.
I with my friend Mark Garrett at an undisclosed location. Right, Mark?
Where are you two coming from, Mark?
I'll let you guess.
Yeah,
I told you the Bronx Conservative Party with Sammy Ravello's headquarters. Dion is not using his own computer. He's using Sammy Ravello's computer that the taxpayers have paid for.
This is my laptop, and Mark Garrett is on his phone. Right, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
That is correct. I'm on my phone.
That's right. So you can walk over to Mark Garrett in his phone and touch him.
Whoa. You're the one taking the needle, sir. You're getting pricked and prodded.
No. You walked over.
I think the vaccine has affected Robert Press's brain. What do you think?
No, it hasn't, Dion. I'm over it now, almost.
Yo, what I'm getting at is this here, right? Because y'all jumping from topic to topic, right? And I'm not understanding exactly what's the structure of the program.
There is none. Welcome.
You're right. We get told 5 minutes before the show go on. So
I got a question. This is what Alpheus. This is the Alpheus. Okay, if Eric Adams is the projected new mayor,
my plan extends the tax credit at least through the year 2025. Because what's going to happen in 2025, as the press knows, is the tax cuts of the last president expire. And we're going to go back, that put us $2 trillion in debt. And then we're going to compete as to what tax credits there are. I think it's about time we start giving tax breaks and tax credits to working class families and middle class families instead of just the very wealthy. And here's what the American Family Plan doesn't do. It doesn't add a single penny to our deficit. It's paid for by making sure corporate America and the wealthiest 1% just pay their fair share. I come from the corporate capital of the world. More corporations are incorporated in the state of Delaware than all
tax to 21%. But if the rest of the world moves to 15%, it is likely Biden will also scale back the rate for U.S. companies closer to that 15% pay tax in other countries, and the rate they pay in the U.S. is too large. That means more companies would move profits and jobs overseas. And all of this matters because U.S. companies earn more than $500 billion of profits from overseas. That is about a quarter of their annual total.
Looks like Press is having a meltdown. Okay, I'll add to this. You showed that clip.
it must be the vaccine. I don't know.
Basically,
Dion, he just saw his investment income go down 30%.
No, Anthony, what happened to Bitcoin today?
Say that again?
What happened to Bitcoin today with China?
According to China, they do not want any public or private transactions with Bitcoin. But to get to that clip, because I think that clip was both very accurate and also very misleading.
Well, what has happened to the value of it? Has it gone
from the
up or has it gone
state
down?
of the world. So he knows that when you say it's paid for, on the surface, that sounds wonderful, but the reality is it's really not paid for, right? If I take Robert Press to dinner and put it on my credit card, is it paid for? Sure it is. It's paid for by debt. And I'm in the middle of doing an article today based on the most recent government information that shows at least half of these proposals are being paid for by debt. The second thing I like to say is it's also going to be true that as you target the wealthy, as it's being defined, 400,000 or more, with higher taxes, you're going to lower by default the taxes and the deductibility areas of lower and middle class tax people. So all that hunky-dory with, numbers and so on and so forth, again, I think it's both accurate and a little misleading. Obviously, Biden doesn't want to say to you, oh, it's paid for by the government credit card. See, it doesn't have the same, wonderful ring like, oh, it's paid for.
Well, one thing that he said at the beginning, he looks totally out of it, like he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Number two, he is correct in saying that the great state of Delaware that he's coming from does know about incorporation, because a lot of people do get their LLCs down there because it's cheaper. And the next thing is the article I read today, and I'll pass it over to Mark, is that we might be heading towards another government shutdown. So, Mark, what do you think?
Well, yeah, of course. They said that yesterday on the news. There's nothing new about that. But Pelosi said she's going to avoid it. Okay. So, I mean, if you want to talk from a conservative point of view, Mark, go ahead.
I think he'll probably put another continuing resolution in. But the whole thing, this whole debt thing, we were $3 trillion in debt. It's not something we can do. We can't afford these things. I mean, I might have been sympathetic for the first package for infrastructure. I might have gone for that, but the $3 trillion, forget about it. It's going to raise the debt, and most importantly, inflation, more money, too much money, as they say, chasing too few goods. That's what the problem we're going to have. Inflation is going to go up, and which is very dangerous. I mean, I remember living through the 1970s when the inflation and the oil prices going up. I still remember it.
70s.
Yes, the 70s. I still
80s,
remember.
90s, yeah. Wow, you must be about 70 years old then.
Nearly, but I remember living through it. I remember that. I remember oil prices, gas prices going up. It was very severe.
Gas, how much was gas back then?
Oh, well, 40 cents. But then it went up from 20 cents.
Why don't you hit your head against the table, Dion?
Well, I will say this, Rob. You're looking a little bright tomato red than usual. Are you sure you're feeling okay with that vaccine? How long a short was the needle this time? Was the which was it? Remember that?
Dion.
That was a very nice needle, right?
Wait a minute, Dion. Let me tell you what I ate the past 3 days.
Oh, Lord.
Over the past 3 days, I've had a box of strawberries, a pint of blueberries, a couple of 4-ounce cups of fruit from Dole,
Man, I think
and 5 ounces of egg drop soup.
Journalistic skills in what you ate.
Okay.
How many cc's of prune juice did you take? Huh? How many milligrams? Constipation, chronic constipation. The side effects. All right, now let's get back on point, people. So let's go back to more local news. Yudelka Tapia, okay, is a presumed Democratic candidate for the special election in what, the 86 Victor Bucciaro seat.
Yudelka Tapia, hold on. Yudelka Tapia is today the assemblywoman of the 86th Assembly District.
What makes you say that?
Well, if you go to your recent Bronx history and call the Bronx Democratic Party, they will tell you that because of Victor's absence, she has now been appointed as such. Of course, she has an election with several other candidates that will soon be coming out.
Wait, hold. What's going on with Victor Bucciaro?
He stepped down. Marcus, where you been? Oh, you're in Harlem. Don't worry about it.
Why he stepped down?
He's tired.
According to Victor, he says.
Wait a minute. Let's see what Mark has to say about this. Go ahead, Dion.
You want to spend more time with family.
Dion, you can whisper over to Mark. Tell him.
I think it's a scandal going on. How come Robert Press ain't trying to dig into that?
Because he's recovering from his COVID shot.
Well,
and maybe that's why they did this to me, so I can't be out there investigating.
Who is they?
What's going on with your city councilman, Mr. Oswald?
Let's not talk about that right now.
Why not? I think the people need to hear that one.
He's giving out book bags. Leave the man alone. Leave the kid alone.
Oh,
which one? From Harlem or Queens? Which one is he giving out? The ones from Harlem or the ones from Queens? He is from the Bronx, right? Let's just be clear on that. He is from the Bronx. So when he gives out the Harlem bags or the Queens bags, you know, it's pretty hard to tell what borough the councilman is from.
Look, and then let's talk about Mr. Salamanca's support of the Cure Violence program, but just so happened, gun violence happened to knock directly on his office doorstep. How come y'all ain't think about that one?
Why don't you ask him?
Are you talking about wait? Are you talking about Oswald's rally? Is he talking about Oswald's rally? Because there was a solution.
I switched up and said Salamanca.
Okay.
You know how they talk about these Cure Violence programs. You know, in some of these Cure Violence programs within their catchment areas, there's been an increase of shootings, right? But you had a shooting that took place on the doorsteps of Mr. Salamanca's office.
Yeah. Simpson Street.
And nobody said anything. Why is that?
Well, we're going to have to ask the mayor about that. Just like we are asking him, gee, Mr. Mayor, everybody's been to Rikers Island to see how bad the conditions are. When are you going, Mr. Mayor, to Rikers Island? And he keeps pushing it off. Tomorrow, well, soon.
Those conditions at Rikers Island is not nothing new. And majority of them politicians that's going there, like Tish James, you can look forward to her going she's coming up for re-election, and she might be running for governor. So this is all political.
My question to you guys is this. May I ask a question? My question is this. You depopulate Rikers Island. Where do you put the more violent people? Where do they go?
What do you mean?
People want to depopulate Rikers Island or close Rikers Island.
Rikers Island is already depopulated.
Well, we want to get rid of it, or where does the population go?
Well, let me say this here, right? You got jails in the state corrections that's closed. You had like 13, anywhere from 13 to 15
you
jails.
You brought them on, Dion, so.
Right?
You gentlemen are forgetting the fundamental premise of Rikers Island. Rikers Island is not a jail. Rikers Island is supposed to be, and still is, majority based as a holding cell.
Correct.
Exactly. It's a pretrial facility. But what I'm getting at is this here. What I'm trying to show you is this here. You have a decrease in the state population, right? And you also have a decrease in Rikers Island, because Rikers Island hold anywhere from 20 to 25,000 inmates. The population is less than 5,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's not in the right politically, because what we know on a federal level, war stimulates the economy. On a local level, crime stimulates the economy. You have senseless laws that's been in place, like the bail reform, that's designed to promote recidivism. You have the mayors, he has an executive policy right now where he's paying guys $1,000 a month that are violent felons. So when you look at what's going on, it's designed to keep crime going up so that you don't close Rikers Island. Because if you close Rikers Island, you're saying that crime is down.
No. I have to tell you, they want Rikers Island closed for LaGuardia Airport.
I can agree with that one. I agree with that
one. A runway where the 747s can land, and LaGuardia will then become an international airport. There are also plans for a bridge to go from Queens to the Bronx. So when planes land in LaGuardia, planes with merchandise, they'll be coming up to the Bronx, 1, 2, 3, rather than having to go all around the waistline.
You already got bridges that go from Queens to the Bronx. So that statement there doesn't make any sense when you already have both the Triborough, you have the Whitestone, and you have the Throgsneck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you speak about constructions of jails, what you got to remember is this here. They closed Bronx House and gave it to Related Management. That's why you have the mall over there on 151st Street.
Mm-hmm.
There is no intentions of building any more jails, or else it would have already been constructed. You don't even have an actual a blueprint now to where they want to build these jails. So let's not get caught up in what they're perpetuating.
Well, don't forget, Alpheus, you have what is known as the Manhattan House of Detention. The Queens has one, Brooklyn has one, and the Bronx has one.
Manhattan has two
Staten Island,
right next to each other. You got the old Tombs and you have the new Tombs.
Right.
Right? Brooklyn, you have Brooklyn House, that's on Atlantic Avenue, right? They closed Brooklyn Navy Yard. There used to be a correction facility. Queens House, they rarely use that. They use that for the people that's sentenced to do the courthouses. So when you speak about jail, again, no jails has yet been built. The jails they have, they barely keep inmates in because they send everybody to Rikers Island.
Well, what happened at the Navy Yard when they closed the jail? What went there?
It's still closed.
But what went to the Brooklyn Navy Yard in place of the jail?
They got a whole bunch of stuff going on over there.
That's right. That's right. Economic development.
Yeah, but you don't have, they have yet to give you a proposal where they're going to plan new jails. And this is what people have to be cautious about. When you had a boom in crime, you had boats in Manhattan as well as boats in the Bronx. You no longer have boats in Manhattan, you got them in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
So
barges.
So you close Bronx House with no plans of building another one, but yet you talk about closing Rikers Island. So at what point in time has there been a certified plan and designated area to build new jails?
There has been in the Bronx, the Toe Pound, right by Betances. That was projected years ago. You don't remember that one?
But look, this was what was projected and what has been started, right, to actually prepare for Rikers Island closing has not materialized. So again, it's nothing more than a pacification to some of the advocates that talk about closing Rikers Island. We're going to do this just to keep you quiet, because majority of those advocates that they talk about closing Rikers Island, they have numbers. And if you
so then you're indirectly suggesting, which I actually believe in, which is they're not going to close it at all.
At all.
No, Anthony, they have to close it.
Are you saying they're going to?
No, they don't. They don't have to close it.
They dangling the carrot.
That's all they doing. Because if you look at what's going on, the main root of crime is based off the area population with a high percentage of poverty. They have yet to do anything about poverty. So if they haven't addressed poverty, 9 out of 10.
Commercial. Nope.
This is what I'm trying to explain to you. You have jails closing, population is closing.
Let's switch gears. Let's switch gears to Harlem, Mr. Marcus. What's going on with your boy Keith Wright? I understand he hit somebody with his car. What happened with Keith Wright? Also, I understand there's going to be a county committee meeting at River State Park over there in the back on the west side of Harlem to determine who's going to replace Brian Benjamin. So can you speak on that, Mr. Marcus? And aren't you a councilman candidate too, sir?
Yeah, I'm running for city council in the 9th district here. What's going on in Harlem literally is you have a bunch of people that's trying to advance their political careers, right? Some of them are part of the political machine. Some of them are trying to infiltrate the political machine, right? But they don't have a real identity. Please.
How do you feel about Keith Wright, though? This is not the first vehicle collision with Mr. Keith Wright.
Well, it wasn't a vehicle collision. What happened was he opened up his door, right, and somebody hit his door, which is illegal for you to exit your car without actually looking. And then they said that he left the scene of the crime.
The story that I found out was it was a biker coming. He opened his door so the biker would hit the door, and then he left the scene.
That's what I just said. I just said that.
Right, but
see, this is what I question.
He was thinking about him.
You didn't explain that it was a biker. You didn't say that it was a biker. You just said he opened his door and someone hit it. It could have been a person walking.
This is exactly why I question your journalistic skills, because I said a biker.
Not his journalistic integrity. You question his
journalistic integrity is like.
A biker could be a motorcyclist. That's what they used to be called.
Moped, scooter.
It was electric bike.
It
was electric bike.
Don't worry about it. Transportation alternatives.
Leon, are you questioning his 100%?
Let's take it to Mark in Riverdale. Eric Denowitz. What's going on with Eric Denowitz?
I think more than likely he'll be elected. That should be no surprise.
How do you feel about Kevin Fazismo? Kevin Fazismo said that Eric Denowitz is a puppet ass of his father. He's a puppet ass.
He's not an ass, but he is a puppet of his father, though. I would say that. He follows his father. They run, you understand, the bosses of Riverdale are the Reform Democrats. Denowitz and his son, they're what I call the Denowitz dynasty. And they run this place. I mean, who knows what he wants his son to run for in the future? Maybe he wants to run to succeed him. I mean, who knows? Because you're limited to the council for just 8 years. So maybe he'll succeed Jeffrey when Jeffrey decides if he ever wants to retire. Or he might want him to run for another higher office, like say state senate. Because there's always talk of Biaggi running statewide. There's always talk about that.
Yeah, well, don't worry about Biaggi. She's going nowhere. By the way, Dion, you like Riverdale so much. Are you Mark lives by himself, or he used to.
I'm married.
Are you shacking
I've been
up?
married for the last 24 years. I've been married for the last 24 years.
Mark?
You know, I'm married 24 years. In November, I'm married for the last 24 years. I don't live by myself. I'm married.
Where's your wife? Upstate, Mark.
You trying to push Dion off the mark? What's going on here?
They're such good buddies. They're almost best buddies.
You trying to create a new age couple?
Robert Press is
I'm not
I'm getting more.
I think Robert Press has covered. I think Robert Press has covered too many Bronx Pride events.
Yeah.
He's green with envy, rainbow green.
I mean, I am not objecting to that. If Dion and Mark have something going, I'm not objecting to it.
You got a warped mind, Bob. You got a very warped mind.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Mark. Let me ask you, Mark. How many people who live in Riverdale are gay?
Whoa.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe 10, 12. I mean, I don't know the answers. I don't ask what their sexual orientation.
Would you say?
I don't number them, but I don't ask people their sexual orientations. It's none of my business.
Actually, I have a serious question for Mark. I have a serious question about Riverdale, Mark. What's the difference between old Riverdale money and new Riverdale money? What's the difference?
Old Riverdale money, people been there for many, many years, like in Fieldston, like in the area along the water near Wakefield. That's considered
property values. That's all it is.
And the new Riverdale money, people who like in the tech industry or lawyers or people like that who made their money. The old Riverdale are people who had inherited wealth for generations, who've been living there for generations. But Riverdale has the new money. Riverdale is also the place where the people who can't afford to live in the Upper West Side come to the Bronx, come to Riverdale. It's got everything that they have. It's semi-suburban.
Mark, what is the racial makeup of Riverdale now?
I think that it's majority white, but it has has Hispanic minority in it as well. I mean, you do have that. I would say, in fact, the last time I checked the stats. It was like my council district where I live in the 11th council district. It's like around 38% white, 35% Hispanic, and West Black and Asian. That's what I want.
So that's majority white, you say?
Plurality. It's not. I would say, yeah. Riverdale itself probably is right because you're dealing with areas that have a heavy population. Central Riverdale, Northern Riverdale.
Dion, Alpheus, anything to say on that, or Anthony?
Well, the only thing I'm going to quickly say on that is that please let's stop misinterpreting facts. Riverdale is not a council district. If you're going to talk about Riverdale, talk about it as a community. If you're going to talk about it as a district, hello, my name is Anthony Maurizio. I'm the founder of the Northwest Bronx Democrats in Bedford Park, Norwood. Also a member of the 11th Councilmatic District. That happily includes Riverdale.
Thank you.
But here's the thing, why people are overlooking. Riverdale has the voting potential. It really punches above its weight when it comes to voting. The people in Riverdale are educated. I mean, the people are
they're educated.
People are more.
Mr. Host.
Yes.
Mr. Host, excuse me for one moment. Mark, let me ask you a very simple question.
Yeah.
Very simple question. What is the income difference in percentages from Riverdale to residents in Bedford Park, Norwood? What is the income difference in percentage?
I'm going to guess now. Okay, so bear with me. 20% to 25% difference. I would imagine that.
Try 50.
All right.
Try 50. The average Norwood resident makes $38,000 a year. The average Riverdalian makes 72.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that do with anything? What does that do with anything? Nothing.
It's just people of higher income are more likely to vote.
No, what it means, Dion, and since you like to represent the Black Americans so much, I'm shocked that you don't even know what it is. It's a way of keeping minority people down. Didn't you support Marco Sierra's position, where he basically said the same exact thing?
It goes back to Marco Sierra hurting Bob Press and Fabrizio Steele.
No, this has nothing to do with that. Marco Sierra believes that we were. No. What's the matter, Dion? You can't accept your own facts? That part of the reason Black America has been discriminated against for over 100 years is because of 200 years, 300 years, because of money? What do you think? It's about color? Give me a goddamn break. It's about money. It's always been about money. But I know you're the new Malcolm X. You know what the hell is going on. It's all been about money.
I don't know.
All right, guys, we're almost at the end of the show.
Is that Dan Paternak? Is that Adam St. Powell in the background?
We're almost at the end of the show, guys. Any closing statements?
Yeah, get some structure on this show. Now I got a meeting, so everybody have a good day.
I concur.
Yes.
I second that.
Brother, Colin Marks.
Dion, any closing words?
I want to show my screen. On this Sunday, we're having a anti-vax mandate forum here on Zoom. So I'm just going to show you guys the flyer. And here it is. So hopefully you guys can come and support us. Blexit, New York, Dion Powell, our event. And that's that.
Before I forget, Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez is having a cleanup with the Friends of Pelham Parkway on Saturday, beginning at 12 noon, I believe. It's on my blog at www.100%.blogspot.com. Notice how I got that in, Dion.
Yeah, it's nothing but plugs today. So also tomorrow we're having the launch of the Dominican Veterans of America at BNS Event Space, 412 East Tremont Avenue. That's the borderline, Tremont Avenue. Just New York Free Thinking Democrats. 900 members strong, by the way. Congratulations.
So y'all ain't gonna pump the parade.
You pump the parade. You're on the board of the parade. Eric Adams and Sewell is coming. Schumer's coming to the parade tomorrow. All right, good one, Alpheus.
Schumer goes everywhere.
I get the dog Schumer again, huh? I want to know why he ain't proposing any legislation down there.
You're in Harlem, so you have to do that.
I got you.
It's election time next year. You're going to see all the elected officials.
Well, y'all have a good day. Enjoy your weekend.
Man, it's over there eating our face. Man, what's that about?
Well, and it looks like we lost Anthony, so
it's the Heritage Parade tomorrow, guys, in Harlem. Schumer's going to be there, Swill's going to be there, and also Eric Adams, African Americans Commission, Maury. Love these guys.
So let me ask you a question, Dion.
Yes, what's your question?
What is the difference between Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa as far as, the police department and controlling crime?
Well, Curtis Sliwa has known the streets since the Guardian Angels. Eric Adams was a cop. So you have a cop and you have a person that wants to be a para cop. So who has more experience? But Eric Adams is still fundraising for money, so he has the most money, so that's the difference.
But didn't Eric Adams go after the police department?
Well, when he was on 100 blacks in law enforcement, I guess so. But then slowly but surely, outside interest and money have come on.
And then he used that to become a politician.
Yes, and so
a state senator, Brooklyn Borough president. So it really, it's what you are and what you can make out of it.
That's right. You are what you eat, and you ate that vaccine.
So, Dion, you should learn by now. You're a young man. I mean, you should have learned by looking at these people to see how they are and what you can do to get ahead. But you're hanging out with guys like Margaret.
Yeah, and we're going to take you out of the game. Redistricting. We have a new state Senate seat in the Bronx, but you don't want to talk about that because you just nothing but hot air.
We'll tell you what, Dion, next week we'll talk about redistricting. How is that?
Sam Rivella, also, I'm hearing from Sam Rivella himself right now that he's going to make a major move and a major announcement for next year's redistricting. So
why don't you tell Sammy to come on and show himself and say hello?
Parole TV, the voice for humanity.